Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Fields McCormick, and welcome back to the channel. Now, as you can see from the title of this video and from what is on your screen right now, we are going to get into my very first 2021 NFL mock draft for the first round of the upcoming draft. Now, I'm very excited to release this. This is a video that I've been looking forward to recording for quite some time. And I've got a lot of guys in here that you're probably expecting in the top 10. Trevor Lawrence, for instance, we all know he's going to go number one. We'll get into all the picks in a second. I do want to thank all of you so much for stopping by. I know it's been a little while since I've done a video. I've been very busy. I'm a master's student right now, so I've got a lot of work going with that. I'll probably do a video catching all of you guys up on my personal life here in the upcoming weeks. I've got a lot going on outside of Madden and outside of this draft. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the 2021 first round NFL Draft 1.0 presented by Jeff Fields McCormick. Now, coming in here at the number one overall pick, no surprise, we have Trevor Lawrence, the astounding quarterback out of Clemson. Now, Trevor Lawrence is widely considered the best quarterback in this class, and a lot of scouts are saying that he may be the best quarterback prospect to come out of college since Andrew Luck. Now, as all of you know, Andrew Luck was an absolute monster on the field, one of the best quarterback prospects in college football history, and seeing Trevor Lawrence in that conversation is very exciting for a Jacksonville offense that is looking to rebuild after having a few pretty rough seasons. He's going to have some great targets down there. We have DJ Chark is looking to have a really good season. If you're a fantasy football person, DJ Chark might be somebody you look to pick up in later rounds. Marvin Jones, I believe, just signed with Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. That's a huge addition to that offense. On top of that, you already have the undrafted free agent rookie James Robinson that was incredible last season, so we're definitely looking to see a lot of great pass catching and maybe even some few dump-off passes to Robinson, and I think Trevor Lawrence is the perfect quarterback to get that done. Excuse me. Number two, Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. Once again, no big surprise here. Zach Wilson and another amazing quarterback prospect coming out of BYU. He's a perfect fit for the Jets. They need a new quarterback. They just traded away Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers. So they're going to need to fill that quarterback position. I think Zach Wilson can do just that. Number three, the San Francisco 49ers in my mock draft take Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there saying that Mac Jones goes number three to the 49ers. I still think that Justin Fields is a significantly better quarterback prospect than Mac Jones. Mac Jones was amazing in Alabama. Nick Saban worked his magic with this guy. But there are so many great weapons in Alabama that it's easy to look really good. Now, I still have Mac Jones as a number one prospect. I have him going right around the number 15 spot. We'll get to that here in a minute. But I still think if you trade all of that draft capital to get to the number 3 spot, you have to take the quarterback of the future. And I think, despite what a lot of people say with Mac Jones, in my opinion, Justin Fields gets taken here at number 3. At number 4, the Atlanta Falcons take Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida. A lot of scouting reports say that Kyle Pitts is the best all-around athlete in this class. Personally, I would agree. The other guy I would throw into that conversation is Jamar Chase, who didn't get to play last year, but still an amazing player and still inside of my top 10. Now, I know that they have Hayden Hurst. Excuse me. I know they have Hayden Hurst, but either run a 2 tight end set, or maybe they look to trade away Hayden Hurst. Maybe they just keep him as a backup. We'll have to see, but I think Atlanta at number 4 has to go ahead and grab the best guy on the board, best man available. They take Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida, 4th overall. To round out the top 5, we have the Cincinnati Bengals drafting offensive tackle out of Oregon, Penei Sewell. This guy is one of the best college linemen of all time. A lot of people are saying that he's similar to Jonathan Ogden, similar to Anthony Munoz. If the Cincinnati Bengals want to build a new team around Joe Burrow, they've got to keep him safe. He got injured a lot last year. Unfortunately, that did end his season a little bit early. And then we saw the quarterback carousel that wasn't too exciting for Cincinnati. But if they want to keep their franchise quarterback safe, they need to take this incredible O-line prospect. And in my opinion, Penei Sewell, one of the best O-linemen we've ever seen come out of college. And he is their franchise offensive lineman. He could be the next Jonathan Ogden. He could be the next Anthony Munoz, Walter Jones, somebody of that caliber. Penei Sewell is that good of a player, and I think it would be a mistake to let him go here. I know a lot of people want to see Jamar Chase and Joey Burrow go back together like their old LSU days. That would be cool, but I think the smart pick here is to keep their quarterback safe. You got to keep Joe Burrow safe, and Penei Sewell does just that. Now coming in here at number 6, I have the Miami Dolphins grabbing Joe Burrow's favorite target in Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU. Jamar Chase is, in my opinion, the best wide receiver available in this class, and the only offensive player, not including quarterbacks, that I think is better in terms of pure talent is Kyle Pitts. Miami needs a second receiver. Jamar Chase gives them just that, gives Tua Tagovailoa an amazing target. Hopefully this will boost Tua's numbers. Jamar Chase, if he does really good, I could see him being like a bigger Justin Jefferson. We're going to see some really good things out of him if Tua can get his game together. I could easily see an argument for Offensive Rookie of the Year for Jamar Chase, right up there with Trevor Lawrence, right up there with Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. There's a legitimate shot at Offensive Rookie of the Year here, and I think the Dolphins add some amazing wide receiver talent in Jamar Chase. Now coming up here at number 7, I have the Detroit Lions taking Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama. Now, Jalen Waddle didn't get to play a whole lot last year. He did have some injuries. He came back for the final game, the big championship game, did pretty good in that one. I don't have his stats on me offhand, but from what I saw, Jalen Waddle, one of the best wide receiver talents out there, and while his teammate Devonta Smith won the Heisman, I think it's a lot closer between those two than people give him credit for. The Detroit Lions just lost Kenny Golladay, they just lost Marvin Jones, and they lost their quarterback. Now, they do have Jared Goff, but they lost Matthew Stafford, which was their cornerstone on that offense. I think giving Jared Goff an amazing rookie talent right here in Jalen Waddle could boost both of their numbers. Jared Goff's going to have some trouble learning a new system, but I think giving him somebody as talented as Jalen Waddle could very easily make Jared Goff a top 10 or top 15 quarterback. We'll have to see how all that goes, but I have Jalen Waddle right here, wide receiver out of Alabama, going number 7 to the Detroit Lions. Now, number 8, I have the Carolina Panthers taking Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. Now, I really like Rashawn Slater, and Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater are a lot closer than people are giving him credit for. I don't think Penei Sewell is 100% a runaway as the number 1 offensive lineman taken off the board. There's a very good chance that Rashawn Slater sneaks on up this board a little bit more. I still think Penei Sewell's the best in the class, but there is a chance that Rashawn Slater goes first. It all depends on what the scouts see and what the teams want. Right here, they have Sam Darnold. We don't know what's going to go on with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think you take a quarterback here. I think you give Sam Darnold a shot, give him a couple of years behind center for Carolina and see what happens there. And you take the best man available. You address a huge need. They need offensive line help. And Rashawn Slater gives them just that. Now at number 9 overall, my Denver Broncos are taking Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State. Now I know a lot of people want Drew Lock to have another shot. A lot of people are saying, give Lock another year, give Lock another season, give him a couple more. I disagree with this. We've seen Lock in the last season or two. He's performed okay, but he's not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to get us a deep run in the playoffs. He's not a guy that's going to get Denver in the Super Bowl, and I personally think we need to address that quarterback issue. Now, of course, I'm saying we because I'm a Denver fan. Those of you that have watched previous videos know there's a Manning poster usually hanging behind me. It's behind me right now, but you can't see my face. But I think the best man available, the best player right here for the Broncos is Trey Lance. He's an amazing talent, great scrambler. He's a smart player. He knows what he's doing. He's a little bit rough around the edges at times. I would prefer Justin Fields here, but in this mock, I have Justin Fields going to the 49ers. I do want to say real quick that if the 49ers take Mac Jones, I 100% would prefer Denver grabs Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a more developed talent. Justin Fields is a day one starter, whereas Trey Lance might need a little bit of work in the offseason before he's ready. But with the way I have this draft falling right now, Justin Fields is off the board. You take the next best man. You take your franchise quarterback in Trey Lance at 9 overall. Rounding out the top 10, Dallas probably has the best defensive player on the board in Patrick Surtain II, cornerback out of Alabama. Denver has their quarterback figured out. Dallas, however, their quarterback is set. They just signed Dak. They don't need to worry about Mac Jones here. They need to worry about that defense. That secondary has been torched. You have a lot of really good, really young players in this league that are going to be going deep. You have players like Justin Jefferson. You have players like Chase Claypool, Tyreek Hill. You've got to have a really good secondary if you're going to compete. And I think Patrick Surtain II, cornerback out of Alabama, gives Dallas exactly what they need to bolster that secondary. I would also like to see them go corner, maybe safety in the second round, but we're just going to focus on the first round right now. Let's go ahead and scroll on down to the next picks. Now, at number 11, I have the Heisman-winning wide receiver Devonta Smith out of Alabama going to the New York Giants. Danny Dimes needs another target. They have Sterling Shepard. They just added Kenny Golladay. They've got Evan Ingram. They have several other decent players. But if you have Devonta Smith, and then on the other side of the field, you have Kenny Golladay, these guys are going to ball out, and this is the perfect opportunity to see whether or not Daniel Jones truly can be your franchise quarterback. Devonta Smith is an incredibly talented player, one of the best wide receiver prospects that we've seen in the last decade or so. I have him going number 11, right outside of the top 10. This is a great pick for the Giants. They need a second wide receiver that is reliable. They have Sterling Shepard. He's decent, but Sterling Shepard is not going to be the answer long term. I think you grab your franchise wide receiver, put him on the opposite of Kenny Golladay, and let Danny Dimes air it out all day. This could go really well for the Giants. You might even see them make a legitimate playoff run. Of course, a lot more goes into that, but I like Devonta Smith right here to the Giants. I think this adds a huge weapon to their offense. Instantly boosts Danny Dimes' production. Instantly boosts Daniel Jones' fantasy value for those of you that are fantasy football guys or gals. I'm not saying one way or the other here. But I think Devonta Smith, wide receiver out of Alabama to the Giants, is an amazing pick and is 100% where the Giants should look if Smith is available. If Smith's not available, maybe you look at another wide receiver. Rashad Bateman would be nice. I wouldn't take him at 11. I would recommend in that instance dropping a few spots down, maybe pick him up around the 17-18 spot. Number 12, the Philadelphia Eagles. They need help in the secondary. I have them picking up J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina. Not a whole lot to say on this pick, but the Eagles need help in their secondary just like Dallas. Two NFC East teams that have trouble defending deep balls, and I think that J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina, can fix a lot of the problems that Philadelphia's faced when looking at these elite wide receivers in Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill. These great guys that are just torching the NFC East secondary, and I think adding a guy like J.C. Horn might help out there. J.C. Horn may not be Defensive Player of the Year material necessarily, but I think he's going to perform a lot better than Jeff Okudah did last year, and could easily be one of the best corners in the league in 3 or 4 years. I think the Eagles, they're comfortable with their quarterback. They like Jalen Hurts. There's some things going around saying they might look quarterback here. I don't see that. I think J.C. Horn falls to 12. You take him, no questions asked. Number 13, the Los Angeles Chargers pick Christian Darasaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. Once again, this is a best man available situation. You have your franchise quarterback at Justin Herbert. I think he could absolutely be one of the best quarterbacks in league history come 10, 12 years down the road when we get to look at his career stats. And with that in mind, we saw how good he was. Offensive Rookie of the Year last year, broke several rookie passing records. This guy's an absolute stud, and if you want him to stay healthy and you don't want him to get hurt like you saw Joe Burrow get hurt last year, you have to secure that offensive line. Christian Darasaw, O-tackle out of Virginia Tech, does exactly that. Darasaw is an incredibly athletic guy, one of the best one of the best O-tackle talents available in this draft, and I easily see him going off the board at 13. Out of all of the picks on this list, I think Christian Darasaw to the Chargers is probably one of the most likely, behind only Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson going 1 and 2. I think Christian Darasaw is a lock at 13. The Chargers need help on that O-line. Darasaw is still available here. He's the perfect fit for that offense. He fits exactly what they need. And I think Christian Darasaw could have several Pro Bowl years as a Los Angeles Charger. Now we are going to go back-to-back offensive line. Number 14, the Minnesota Vikings take Elijah Vera Tucker, an interior offensive lineman out of USC. This is a similar situation to the Chargers, except that they don't have a young quarterback under center. The Chargers are set with their offensive lineman here in Christian Darasaw. The Vikings are going to take the best offensive lineman off the board, Elijah Vera Tucker. They need help on the O-line, just like the Chargers did, just like the Bengals. And they're going to come right here at number 14, grab Elijah Vera Tucker, keep their quarterback safe, and see what happens long term. A couple of years down the road, they might look at drafting a quarterback. The Minnesota Vikings, I don't think that they move up in this draft to try to get one of the top 3 or top 4 quarterback prospects. I think they take an interior offensive lineman here, secure that O-line, maybe look at a quarterback a couple of years down the road, and Elijah Vera Tucker is the perfect offensive lineman for the Vikings. And to round out the top 15, Bill Belichick gets his man in Mac Jones, quarterback out of Alabama. Now, I have Mac Jones coming off the board as QB4. I could easily see, I have him coming off the board as QB5. I could easily see him going 3 or 4. It all depends on what the 49ers want. If the 49ers want to take a flyer on Mac Jones, then you might see another quarterback here. You might see Justin Fields fall if Denver doesn't grab him. You might see Trey Lance fall here. It all depends on what quarterback's available. Cam Newton is clearly not the answer long term, and I think Bill Belichick steps up, grabs his quarterback. Coming in here at number 16, the Arizona Cardinals grab Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami. I love this pick. This gives one of the best defensive line prospects of this draft the opportunity to work alongside future Hall of Famer J.J. Watt. There is no better player to learn the edge position with than J.J. Watt. This gives Jalen Phillips the chance to work with one of the greatest defensive minds of all time. Gives him a chance to see firsthand how the edge is supposed to play. We could see Jalen Phillips being a cornerstone of that defense for many, many seasons to come. Coming in here at number 17, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to take Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. Once again, just like several other teams, the Raiders need help on the offensive line. Tevin Jenkins is one of the best O-tackle prospects I've seen in the last several years. We have a lot of really good offensive linemen in this class, so we have several on the board. I think the Raiders grab their cornerstone for that O-line. They take Tevin Jenkins here. Keep their quarterback safe. Keep Carr safe for a few years. Keep safe whoever the quarterback is when Carr retires or trades out or whatever. Tevin Jenkins is a great addition to their O-line here. A lot of people think Tevin Jenkins is going to fill the roster needs of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't see him falling out of the top 20. There's a lot of teams that need offensive line help between the Raiders and the Steelers, and I don't think that you see Tevin Jenkins fall outside of the top 20. I think 17 is the perfect landing spot for him. He's not quite top 10 caliber, but he's also a lock for the first round. We're going to take him 17 to the Raiders. Number 18, the Miami Dolphins, with their second pick in the first round, are going to take linebacker out of Notre Dame. Linebacker out of Penn State. I read that one wrong. Micah Parsons. Now, a lot of people think Micah Parsons may be the best defensive player in this draft. I personally don't necessarily agree with that. I would put Surtain above him. I would possibly even put Jalen Phillips above him. It all depends on the situation. But Micah Parsons right here, linebacker out of Penn State, goes to Miami. They just lost Kyle Van Noy. They just kind of cut him out of nowhere. And they may have been cutting him for capital reasons. They may have been cutting him to make a spot for Micah Parsons. So, if Parsons falls to 18, which, based on this board, is a very real possibility, I could absolutely see the Dolphins adding a stud linebacker to that defense to just make them even better. Their secondary is pretty set. Their D-line looks pretty good. They just added Jamar Chase, according to this, and now you add your linebacker of the future in Micah Parsons. Number 19, the Washington football team takes Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Now, a lot of people want to see them go receiver here. A lot of people want to maybe see them go tight end, trade up to get Kyle Pitts. I think they're set with Logan Thomas. I don't think tight end's a big need here. They do really need another receiver next to Terry McLaurin. But I think that you just keep building on that defense. You have Chase Young, Defensive Rookie of the Year last year, one of the best defensive prospects ever, and one that I think is very likely going to go Hall of Fame. Going to be remembered as one of the best defensive line players of all time. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I think, is a steal right here at the number 19 spot, linebacker out of Notre Dame. This kid is incredible. I've watched film on this guy. I've watched film on Micah Parsons. Parsons is a slightly better player, but Owusu-Koramoah is absolutely worthy of a top 20 pick. And if there weren't so many quarterbacks going early in this draft, I could absolutely see both of these linebackers sliding into the top 15. As this board falls, I have him going number 19. You have Chase Young going into his second year, and you back that up with Owusu-Koramoah as a rookie. I think this is the best case scenario for Washington. I don't think there's any way that Parsons falls to 19. If he does, then you consider it. Either way here, you go linebacker at 18, 19. These two might flip. It all depends on which of the two, it all depends on which of the two that the Dolphins prefer. I would rather go Micah Parsons at 18, and then Owusu-Koramoah right after that at 19, like I have it here. These guys are two of the best defensive prospects in the draft, and they will absolutely be taken inside of the top 20. Now, number 20 right here, the Chicago Bears are going to take Rashad Bateman, wide receiver out of Minnesota. Now, a lot of people here think they should trade up and go for quarterback. Andy Dalton is their current quarterback. Mitch Trubisky's the backup. Neither of these guys are going to win you a Lombardi. Neither of these guys are going to get you really deep into the playoffs. I don't want them to trade up here. I think you grab somebody to work alongside Allen Robinson. Take Rashad Bateman. Give him a year. Give him a couple of years under Andy Dalton. Let this guy become your wide receiver one, because Allen Robinson wants to leave and they franchise tagged him. So you have to go into this draft under the assumption that after next season, Allen Robinson will be with another team. You need a year to build your wide receiver one so that if Allen Robinson leaves, which I'm fully expecting, Rashad Bateman can step into that wide receiver one role. I think this season he plays wide receiver two. He's probably going to be a heavily looked at target by Andy Dalton. Dalton loves receivers of his caliber, coming straight out of college. Looks good. It's a solid top 20 pick, and in my opinion, would be a huge addition for the Bears right here. Dalton is probably going to be looking at Robinson quite a bit, but I see a lot of targets going to Bateman in those short and intermediate routes, maybe trying a few deep. I think the deep man next season is still going to be Allen Robinson. He's still the clear wide receiver one. But if you add Rashad Bateman as a wide receiver two, and you have these guys running streaks down the field, Andy Dalton could be looking at a career season. And I think it's a very real possibility that Bateman ends up being in that wide receiver of the year conversation. Now, I don't think he's going to outdo what Justin Jefferson did last year, not by any means. If anybody, I think that Jamar Chase with Tua has a better shot at doing that. But you do still have to keep in mind, he's a guaranteed wide receiver two with Bateman. Maybe wide receiver one, it depends on how he does with Andy Dalton. I still think, at least for this upcoming season, Robinson stays wide receiver one, bumps Bateman to a solid number two option. All right, now coming in at number 21. This is a bit of a risk for the Colts. I think Colts take the best man off the board right here. They need help in their secondary. I say right here at number 21, they take Caleb Farley, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. If Denver had not drafted a quarterback, I would have loved to see them take Patrick Surtain or take Farley. But we did just sign a couple of corners. We picked up Ronald Darby. We built a little bit more on that secondary, and I think we did that so that we could address the quarterback issue, because Ronald Darby's going to be a great addition for a year or two. Maybe he signs with us again after his contract's up. I don't know. It all depends on how good he does. But for the time being, Caleb Farley, I have falling outside of the top 20. The main reason for that is due to that back injury. Now, if it comes out that Caleb Farley's perfectly fine, you don't have to worry about the back, then you consider him inside the top 20. But as it happens right now, with the way everybody's falling, I think Caleb Farley falls to 21. He is a steal outside of the top 20. Indianapolis absolutely has to take a flyer and just hope that back is okay. 21 overall, one of the best secondary players that we've seen in the last few years. If it hadn't been for that back injury, I would absolutely put Caleb Farley up there with Surtain. I would put Farley at the number 9 spot, and maybe Denver picks him up. But with that back injury, a lot of teams are going to be scared of that. And I think he falls all the way down to 21 and the Colts snatch him. We're going to go corner back-to-back. Number 22, the Tennessee Titans are going to bolster their secondary with Greg Newsome II, a cornerback out of Northwestern. Now, Tennessee is set on offense. They have their quarterback of the future in Tannehill. They have their receiver one of the future in A.J. Brown. Sure, they need a number 2 wide receiver. I think grabbing Terrace Marshall in the second round if he's available is a brilliant move by the Titans. But right here, You take best man available that fits your needs. Greg Newsome does just that. And I think that the Titans would be crazy, absolutely insane, to not grab this guy at 22. I have him as, I believe, the third corner off the board. 21 and 22 could easily flip. It depends on whether or not the Colts think that Farley's ready to play. If that back injury still scares the Colts, Newsome could go 21, and then Farley goes 22. Those two are interchangeable depending on how the Colts feel about Farley. Coming in at number 23, the New York Jets get a steal in Kwity Paye, edge rusher out of Michigan. Kwity Paye is amazing. Let me just say that straight up. Kwity Paye is an amazing defensive player. I think Jalen Phillips has more well-structured talent. Kwity Paye, in my opinion, is the best edge rusher in this class. Jalen Phillips is great. Gregory Rousseau is great. Gregory Rousseau also not in my first round. I have him going second round. But I think right here you take Kwity Paye. A lot of early drafts said that Denver was going to take him at that number 9 spot. I have Denver taking North Dakota State quarterback Trey Lance. And then Kwity Paye, by the way this goes, falls all the way into the Jets' lap at 23. Now, I could see the Jets grabbing a receiver here, giving their brand new quarterback a great weapon. There's a lot of really good receivers in this class, but I think if Kwity Paye falls to 23, he is a lock for the Jets. The Jets need help on that edge. They have Quentin Williams that's pretty good. They have several solid pieces on that defense. Now they add Kwity Paye, a legitimate contender for defensive rookie of the year. I don't think there's any way you pass on him at 23. Now, number 24, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers finally addressing their running back issue and drafting Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. Let me just say this point blank. Benny Snell is not the answer in Pittsburgh. James Conner is not the answer in Pittsburgh. These guys are okay as a backup, maybe as a power back, a third down back. These guys cannot successfully tote the rock on first, second, and third. You do not have a third down running back, a 3-down back in James Conner or Benny Snell. These guys are A1 backups, but they are not getting it done. We've seen that time and time again, especially last year, where Big Ben had to rely over and over and over on their receiving core. And they did amazing. The receivers were great. Granted, Deontay Johnson dropped a lot. But you look at Chase Claypool's production was insane. I don't think there's any way they go with receiver here. They address their running back issue. They grab Nick Saban's superstar running back, Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. I think they cut Benny Snell, maybe trade it for a 5th or 6th pick, and make James Conner the official backup. I think that's best case scenario. For the Steelers, they need a stud running back that they can rely on. Big Ben is probably going to retire in the next 2 or 3 seasons, maybe after next season even. So you're going to need to go ahead and grab somebody now that can step in when there's a rookie quarterback. You need a dump-off machine. You need somebody that when you have a quarterback learning the system, learning Mike Tomlin's offense, you need somebody that can step in there and be that consistent running back. Because when they get their rookie, more than likely, it's going to be a season or 2 before that rookie quarterback that replaces Big Ben is a high enough caliber to take them to the playoffs. But if you can rely on a guy like Najee Harris, get him NFL ready now, you're automatically looking so much better long term. And I think taking Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama, is an amazing play for the Steelers and is one that they just have to make. They've got to address their running back concerns. Travis Etienne would be another really good option here. I think Najee Harris just fits the Steelers' scheme better. Now, rounding out the top 25, and I think this one is also a lock. The Jacksonville Jaguars finally address their secondary. They need some help out there. They got a couple of really good guys, but in terms of the entire secondary, they need help at safety. And Trayvon Moehrig, I have him as the #1 safety off the board. Safety out of TCU adds exactly what they need. He adds great coverage. He adds great press. He adds great man. Trayvon Moehrig is an absolute machine in the secondary. This guy is without a doubt one of the best defenders in this class. In any other situation, he would probably be a top 15, top 20 pick. With the way this board falls, I have him going to the Jaguars at 25. They finally addressed their safety concerns. They are finally able to add some coverage downfield, and I think Trayvon Moehrig could very easily end up as the top rookie safety, maybe even the top rookie secondary player in this class. It all depends, of course, on how these other guys perform. I think Trayvon Moehrig at 25 is a lock. I am very confident in this pick. If Trayvon Moehrig falls to the Jaguars, they have to take him. You're set on wide receivers. Trevor Lawrence has great targets down there in DJ Chark and Marvin Jones. You're set at running back. You have James Robinson. You're pretty decent on your offensive line. You've got guys that can protect your brand new quarterback. Tight end might be an option here, but there's no really superstar tight end that is worthy of a top 25 pick except for Kyle Pitts, and I have him going all the way at #4. There's no way that the Jaguars reach way into second and third round tight end talent when Moehrig is just sitting here at 25. I think Moehrig is a lock to the Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence is a lock to the Jaguars. They add two of the best players in this draft and absolutely look to rebuild with a new head coach, with a new quarterback, and with a new superstar safety out of TCU. Trayvon Moehrig is going to have an amazing career if he performs at the same level that he performed in college. Coming on down to the final few picks. At number 26, I have the Cleveland Browns finally giving Myles Gaskin help on that defensive line. Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher out of Georgia, goes to the Browns right here. I really like this pick. I feel really confident that at 26, he's a steal. He's a great option. And right now, Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive players in the NFL. That gives a great person to teach Ojulari how to do it. Maybe help him with his hands a little bit. He does have a couple of issues with hands. I've heard some scouts say that the footwork might not all be there. I think Ojulari is a lock for the top 30. Maybe he sneaks in around the 22, 23 spot, somewhere in that range. I think here at 26, he could learn under Myles Garrett. Just like I have Phillips learning with J.J. Watt. These two edge rushing superstars are going to be teaching the two rookies that will eventually be leaders of their respective defenses if they can step up to the plate. Now that's a big if. It all depends on how well these guys do. I really like Ojulari at 26 to the Cleveland Browns. They need a complimentary defensive end / edge rushing linebacker. Call him what you want. They need somebody to go on the other side of Myles Garrett. They need to keep pressuring quarterbacks. They need to keep busting through lines, taking tackles for loss, excuse me. And I think the perfect pick here at 26 is Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher out of Georgia, going to the Cleveland Browns. Now at number 27, the Baltimore Ravens also go edge rusher. We have back-to-back edge rushers right here. Jason Away, edge rusher out of Penn State. They just lost a very good edge rushing talent. That's a big hole on the defense. Edge rushers are incredibly important. You have to pressure these big-name quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert. You have to get pressure from the D-line. Jason Away does exactly that. This gives him a great place to become a superstar defender. They took Patrick Queen last year. That ended up going really well for them. One of the best defensive players taken. I think they turn around and go defense first round again. Jason Away to the Ravens just makes too much sense here. Ojulari at 26, Away at 27. We go back-to-back edge rushers. Two of the best defensive prospects out of this class. And I think that going to Baltimore could absolutely make away a future Pro Bowler. Maybe not Defensive Rookie of the Year. I still think there's some guys that have a higher chance of going Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he absolutely is going to add a stellar piece to an already really formidable Ravens defense. So, at number 27, like I said, Jason Away goes to the Baltimore Ravens. The Penn State edge rusher gets his new home in Baltimore. Number 28, the New Orleans Saints address their need at tackle, defensive tackle. They take the best available, Christian Barmore, interior defensive lineman out of Alabama. I love this pick. I absolutely love this pick. The Saints need help on the D-line. They have Cameron Jordan. That's about it. They have decent other players on defense, but they need help on the defensive line. They desperately need a D-tackle, maybe a guy that they can kick out to edge here and there depending on the play calling, but as an interior defensive lineman, Christian Barmore, D-line out of Alabama, I think should be a lock to the Saints. I won't say he's for sure a lock, because he could very easily go top 20. A couple of these guys that I have taking edge rushers early on could absolutely go interior defensive line. Grab Christian Barmore, but if Barmore's available at 28, you absolutely take him if you're the New Orleans Saints. You need help on that D-line. Christian Barmore gives you exactly that. I see this guy being a Derek Wolfe kind of character. Maybe a slightly less developed Shelby Harris. He's a very good player. He could easily become the next Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. This guy is a stellar defensive player and is not talked about nearly as much as I would expect. And when we get down to the Buccaneers pick, we're going to talk about another defensive player that doesn't get nearly the respect he deserves. But we'll get to that in a second. At number 29 right here, the Green Bay Packers grab Landon Dickerson, interior offensive lineman out of Alabama. Now, Landon Dickerson was a center last year. He kept Mac Jones safe. This guy is not talked about enough as a first-round prospect. The Packers just lost Corey Linsley. They have to address center. Now, last year, the Denver Broncos waited till the third round, picked up Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU. Ended up being one of the best linemen on our team. I don't think the Packers take the risk of Dickerson being gone in the second or third round. I really want them to take somebody like Rondale Moore, finally give Aaron Rodgers the wide receiver help that he deserves. I think the smart pick here is Landon Dickerson. It's not the attractive pick. It's not the pick that's going to sell tickets. It's not a pick that fantasy football is going to be super excited about, although it does keep Rodgers safe, which boosts his draft stock. But I think Landon Dickerson, center out of Alabama, is the perfect fit for what the Packers need. They just lost Corey Linsley. As of about 10 o'clock tonight, they have no center on their active roster, so that has to be their number one concern. You have to have someone hike the ball. You have to have someone keep Aaron Rodgers safe. Landon Dickerson does exactly that. And I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here and say that Eric Dickerson will be on the all-rookie team if the Packers pick him up. Landon Dickerson, when I watched Alabama play, I was stunned by this guy. He is absolutely one of the best centers that I have ever seen play in college football. Now, I was beyond excited to get Lloyd Cushenberry in the third round last year. Denver did great. They lucked out that he was still available. I would have been happy with Cushenberry in the second round, honestly, to protect Locke, and now, according to this draft, to protect Trey Lance. But I don't think the Packers take that risk. They want to keep Rodgers safe. He just had a MVP season. They want him to have another really good season like that. You have to keep your franchise quarterback safe. You have to keep the future Hall of Famer off the turf. Landon Dickerson, interior offensive lineman out of Alabama, is the best center on the board. He's one of the best O-linemen on the board, and he is the Packers' pick at number 29. Now at number 30, the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen and so many amazing players go running back here with Travis Etienne, the running back out of Clemson. I love this fit. I think that this should be a lock, but it all depends on if the Steelers take Najee Harris or they take Travis Etienne. Whichever one of those two guys is available is the one the Bills take. Personally, I think Najee Harris fits the scheme of the Steelers a little better. He's more their style of running back. Travis Etienne right here, still an amazing player, falls down to number 30. This could make the Bills a legitimate Super Bowl team. We saw them go way into the playoffs with the likes of Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, neither of which are the answer. Once again, it's just like a Benny Snell situation. It's just like a James Conner situation. You have to get your franchise running back if he's available. And if either of those guys, Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, if either one of those guys falls to number 30, the Bills have to take them. Both of these guys are incredibly talented, and right now in this draft, I have the Bills taking Travis Etienne, running back out of Clemson. This guy was a stud in college, one of the best running back prospects in the last several years, and he is a lock for the first round. All right, our final two. Number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs. After just losing in the Super Bowl, they take Samuel Cosmi, offensive tackle out of Texas. Now, this should be an obvious pick. The Chiefs just lost two of their best offensive linemen, Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, if I remember the names correctly. You have to keep Patrick Mahomes safe. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. In the Super Bowl, Mahomes got destroyed. He got hit over and over and over and over again. You can't let your franchise quarterback get torn up out there. We saw what happened with Joe Burrow when he got hit over and over again. He eventually was out for the season. We saw what happened, unfortunately, with Alex Smith a couple of years ago. He got tore up really bad. Quarterbacks are at risk every single time they throw the ball. And if you want to keep Patrick Mahomes safe, if you want to keep your franchise quarterback off of a stretcher and on the field, you have to keep him safe. Samuel Cosmi right here at number 31, offensive tackle out of Texas, does exactly that. He is an incredible offensive lineman, and I think he is the beginning of a bright future for the offensive line of the Chiefs. Now, ideally, I would like to see the Chiefs in the second round go and take another offensive lineman. I would have to go check who all else would be available at this point before I say a name specifically, but I would like to see them go offensive line, back-to-back in the first and second round. The other thing I could consider here, maybe they want a wide receiver too, and they grab a guy like Rondale Moore. I think Moore is a second round talent more so. But Samuel Cosmi right here is a perfect fit. They just lost two offensive linemen. Their franchise quarterback and Patrick Mahomes got absolutely torn apart in the Super Bowl. He got hit over and over again, and if you don't add a superstar offensive lineman like Samuel Cosmi, you can expect to see Mahomes get hit over and over and over. And as somebody that really enjoys watching Mahomes play, I know I'm a Broncos fan, but I really like watching him play. I have to hope that they go Samuel Cosmi. Andy Reid is an absolute genius. We've seen time and time again he's one of the smartest minds in football. And I don't see any way that the Chiefs go anywhere else but Samuel Cosmi if he's available at 31. They need help on the O-line. Samuel Cosmi is one of the best guys on this board for offensive line, best man available for their needs, and they take him. Now, to round this out, Tom Brady and his Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers Grab Levi Onwuzurike, interior defensive line out of Washington. I love this pick. I think Levi Onwuzurike is one of the best defensive players in this draft class, and he is not getting talked about enough. Levi Onwuzurike is incredible. You can go on YouTube, check out some of the tape from this guy. He's amazing. He makes play after play. He's explosive. He's massive. He hits like a train. This guy is exactly what you want out of a defensive lineman. And Ndamukong Suh is getting pretty old, and they're going to need to have somebody to take his spot. Vita Vea is one of the best linemen in the NFL, but he probably only has a few years left. I think you grab Levi Onwuzurike here at number 32, the final pick in the first round. And once again, this is another stud rookie defender that gets to learn under an amazing player. We saw Jayla Phillips getting to learn under J.J. Watt. We've seen several others just like that, and now Levi Onwuzurike gets to learn under the guidance of Ndamukong Suh, one of the best D tackles ever in my opinion, and Vita Vea, one of the best D tackles in the NFL right now. You take those superstar defenders, put Levi Onwuzurike in the on the defense. Maybe you swap him in and out depending on what the play calls for. Give him some NFL experience. Have him work alongside Ndamukong Suh. Have him work alongside Jason Pierre-Paul. Have him work alongside Devin White. Have him work alongside Vita Vea. All these defensive superstars, Levi Onwuzurike gets to learn from them, gets to be the recipient of their incredible leadership. And above all, Levi Onwuzurike gets to take over the defensive line upon the retirement or trading or leaving or whatever happens with Ndamukong Suh. I absolutely see Levi Onwuzurike stepping in as that D tackle 1 in 2 or 3 years. Vita Vea goes to D tackle 2, and Ndamukong Suh retires, and that leaves Levi Onwuzurike to lead the Buccaneers defense. The Buccaneers did amazing last year grabbing Tristan Wirfs. They took one of the best O-line prospects ever. You saw how good he was, only allowing, I believe it was 1 sack the entire season. He kept Tom Brady safe. He let Leonard Fournette run wild. He let Ronald Jones run wild. You are set on offense. Everything the Buccaneers need, they're pretty much set. They took almost their entire Super Bowl roster and brought them back. Chris Godwin is back. Mike Evans is back. The GOAT, Tom Brady, is back. Fournette, I believe, even came back. Ronald Jones is still there. Antonio Brown, he's kind of up in the air right now. But even if Antonio Brown leaves, you still have Scotty Miller. Maybe they take Rondale Moore in the second round just to add some depth. On the defense, you have Devin White, Jason Pierre-Paul, and Ndamukong Suh. The list goes on and on. The Buccaneers are the best team in the NFL. They won that Super Bowl for a reason. And now Levi Onwuzurike gets to play alongside one of the best defensive tackles ever in Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea. He gets to play alongside the great Jason Pierre-Paul, which I personally believe is a future Hall of Famer. Same with Ndamukong Suh. Arguably same with Devin White, but it's a little early to say that for him. But Levi Onwuzurike right here is absolutely an amazing pick at 32. The Buccaneers need a little help on that D-line. They need somebody to take over when Suh and Vita Vea retire, and Levi Onwuzurike gives them just that. Now I'm going to scroll through here and show you which of these guys I think is an absolute lock. I only have a few that I think are locks, because some of these could absolutely flip around. So, number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars take Trevor Lawrence, absolute lock, no questions asked. Number 2, Jets take Zach Wilson, absolute lock, no questions asked. I feel pretty good about Penei Sewell, but Jamar Chase could be the pick there. Scrolling on down, number 10, if Denver does not draft him, I think Patrick Surtain is a lock to the Dallas Cowboys. Number 11, Devonta Smith. If he is still available, he is a lock to the Giants. Let's scroll on down and see what else we've got. Number 13, Christian Darasaw is a lock to the Chargers. Number 14, Elijah Vera Tucker is a lock to the Minnesota Vikings. I feel pretty good about Mac Jones, but I won't call him a lock necessarily. Let's scroll on through here. Again, a lot of these I feel pretty good about, but aren't necessarily locks. I feel really good about Najee Harris, but I won't quite call him a lock because we could see Travis Etienne go here. At 25, Jacksonville taking Trevon Moehrig as a lock. Go ahead, write it in stone, set it, forget it. That guy's going to Jacksonville if he's available at 25. Azeez Ojulari, I feel pretty good about. Right here, number 30, Travis Etienne. I think Travis Etienne is a lock to Buffalo. Unless Najee Harris is available, then Najee Harris is a lock to Buffalo. One of these two guys goes to Buffalo, and it all depends on which one's available. At number 31, the Chiefs taking Samuel Cosmi. Absolute lock. They have to address the offensive line. They lost two of their best players. You can't not take somebody like Samuel Cosmi. You have to protect Patrick Mahomes. You absolutely have to keep your franchise quarterback safe. There's no, oh, I really like this guy, I really like this guy. No. If you want Patrick Mahomes to be the future of the Kansas City Chiefs, you absolutely must take an offensive tackle. There's no other way to say it. You have to take offensive line right here. Samuel Cosmi to the Chiefs is a lock if he's available. If not, I think they might even reach into second-round prospects and pull somebody up. And then number 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Levi Onwuzurike. Lock it in. I love this pick. He works alongside Ndamukong Suh. He works alongside Vita Vea. He works alongside Jason Pierre-Paul. He has a chance to win a Super Bowl next year as a rookie, just like Tristan Wirfs did. This one is a lock. My 3 100% sure locks. Number 1, with the Jaguars taking Trevor Lawrence. There's no need to discuss this one anymore. Trevor Lawrence, go ahead and get him a Jacksonville Jaguars jersey right now. He's taken number 1. Number 2, the Jets taking Zach Wilson. They just opened their roster for a quarterback. Sam Darnold is no longer a Jet. He moves to the Panthers. Jets have to take a quarterback. At the number 2 spot, they're locked in. They take Zach Wilson. My third lock, 100%, this is where he's going. Trevon Moehrig goes to Jacksonville. I think both Jacksonville picks are a lock. That is absolutely what's going to happen right here. Trevon Moehrig, he adds an amazing talent to a secondary that has had a lot of trouble recently. You have your quarterback of the future in Trevor Lawrence. You have your safety of the future in Trevon Moehrig. You look down in the draft, maybe grab wide receiver depth. Maybe you grab D-line depth. Maybe you go O-line. Try to grab somebody in the 3rd or 4th round that can keep Trevor Lawrence safe. It all depends on what happens here. But that's my draft board for the 2021 NFL Draft. Now, please keep in mind that this was shot Wednesday, April 7th, there we go, 2021, just a day or two after the Sam Darnold trade news. So these could absolutely change. If we hear of a new trade, maybe somebody trades into the 1st round, maybe somebody trades out of the 1st round, maybe somebody picks up a new quarterback or a new D tackle or whatever else happens, we will make a new mock draft with that in mind. But right now, as it currently stands, these are my picks. We're going to scroll back up here. Your top 5 players: Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, although it could be Mac Jones, Kyle Pitts, and Penei Sewell. I feel pretty confident in these top 5. The only one that I could see maybe changing is the Atlanta Falcons might trade down. But I think if you have a shot at Kyle Pitts, you get him. It's that simple. If the Falcons trade down, somebody else goes QB, you have QB go 1, 2, 3, 4. The Bengals could legitimately take a shot, grab Kyle Pitts, but I think Penei Sewell's a better option. You keep your quarterback safe. They're still going to have in mind when he got injured last season. They're not going to want that to happen again because that just completely derailed the Bengals season. You keep your quarterback safe. You take Penei Sewell. You look second or third round, maybe grab some depth at receiver. Maybe grab some depth at linebacker. There's a lot of great linebackers like Zaven Collins and Nick Bolton that have not been taken yet. I could easily see them going in the second or third round to the Bengals. But that is my pick 1 through 32. The first round draft for the upcoming draft. Now, I will live stream the draft, and we'll get to see how close these picks are. I'm really confident in number 1 and number 2. I'm really confident in Christian Darasaw to the Chargers, and I'm incredibly confident in Trayvon Moehrig to the Jaguars. Other than that, a lot of these picks could swap around. We'll have to see what happens, but without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. If you've made it all the way to the end of this 1 hour long mock draft video, please comment down below who your favorite team is and who you think they're going to take. Do you agree with my picks? If not, let me know down in the comments. Tell me who you would prefer your team to take. Which of these picks did I get right? Which of these picks did I get wrong? Make sure to let me know down below. I try to answer every comment that I can. Sometimes I get a little busy. It takes a little while, but I answer as many comments as humanly possible. So let's go ahead and chat down there. Now, before we leave, if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. This is my first ever mock draft video. I'm going to try and do a couple of fantasy mock drafts in the coming weeks. I'm going to try to put out some more mock drafts here, maybe switch things up a little bit. But right now, I feel very confident in these picks. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I've done a lot of research on these guys, and I hope you agree with the picks. If not, let me know down below. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this 2021 NFL Mock Draft 1.0 video up. So thank you all so much for watching this very special mock draft video. And as always, I will see you in the next mock draft video.